What up, everybody? Welcome to the Bourbon Buzz and Ballin podcast. We are your hosts, Kolby and Dut, and we got another good one for you tonight. Looks like college basketball is our theme tonight.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to dominate the show tonight.
So we're going to talk some basketball, sprinkle in a little football, a little NFL action. We do what we do. We just kind of wing it and just talk what we want to talk about.
That's right. See where the conversation goes.
That's the beauty of having your own podcast. Thanks for joining in, and we appreciate everyone joining in. And as always, hit us up on our socials, man. Like, follow, and share everything. We'll be posting that a little bit later in the episode. But sit back, get you a bourbon, and enjoy the show.
That's right.
Bring us in.
Speaking of bourbon, let's start off with our opening toast. I'm going to let you lead off because I know you got a couple of NFL toast to give out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and first let me go ahead and toast Bud Grant, man. The late great Bud Grant, the longtime coach of the Vikings, the Purple People Eaters coach, the coach that was in place when I fell in love with the Vikings. I'll give my dad the credit for falling in love with the Vikings, but of course, everybody grew up idolizing Bud Grant.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you can't think of the Minnesota Vikings without thinking instantly of Bud Grant.
Yeah.
I mean, he took them to 4 Super Bowls, unfortunately. Didn't win any of them. But he was the first coach to take a team to 4 Super Bowls.
And I believe they were favored in all 4.
Yeah.
So underdog or favored wasn't good for Bud and the Vikings, but
right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's the epitome of what you think of, and he's still very, very much beloved in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, so I was looking up. I didn't really, other than the fact that I associate him with the Purple People Eaters and all that. I wanted to see. I actually went online to see what he died of, and I think it was just natural causes. He was 95. He was at home. But then I learned he was a Navy veteran. He was a 3-sport star at the University of Minnesota. He lettered in basketball, baseball, and football.
Nice.
Actually started his career playing basketball for the Minneapolis Lakers.
Oh, I didn't. You see, you're going to be teaching me stuff.
I know. I didn't know any. I'm not trying to act like I knew all this. This was all. I looked it up because I was interested.
So he played in the AF. What was it? The
ABA.
The ABA. Is that what?
I don't know if the Lakers started in the ABA or if they started in the NBA. But yeah, that's where he started, and that would have been in the 50s.
I don't recall Bud being tall though.
Well, and he was also drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. So after he played 2 years for the Lakers, he decided to go football. Went and played for the Eagles for a few years. Then he went to the Canadian Football League and played for the Blue Bombers. And that's actually where he got his coaching start.
How about that?
After he was done playing, he joined their coaching staff. And then in 1967, which was a great year.
Showing his age.
That's when he joined the Minnesota Vikings as head coach. So I had no idea that Bud was that accomplished of an athlete. I knew he was a great coach.
He always seemed like an old man by the time I started following the Vikings, so I never really knew his history. That's cool.
Yeah,
excellent.
So it was fun facts to find out about Mr. Grant.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
What else you got over there on the NFL?
I'm gonna go ahead and toast the Carolina Panthers owner, Mr. David Tepper, and of course GM Scott Fitterer on pulling off that trade for the number 1 overall pick. I was impressed. I've been impressed by Tepper's ability or willingness to open his wallet, which is rather vast. And
I saw today they signed Andy Dalton.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
that's really news.
That was breaking news on the 5 o'clock news.
Oh my goodness, that's that. Well, they lost Red. Red signed with the Niners.
Yeah. Darnold went out to.
And I was glad for Sammy D to go back out to his roots
get back out there to the West Coast, and Trey Lance. Has had some injury problems.
Well,
so
you never know
what might play out there.
Sam actually, if given protection. Most quarterbacks are good, but he certainly put up some good numbers with protection.
But yeah, they got rid of one redhead and brought in another one.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I didn't know that they brought
that'd
in
be good.
Andy D. That'll be good.
Somebody to hold the seat, warm until whatever rookie they decide to draft.
That is. So they made some really good moves. They picked up a safety out of Cincinnati, Von Bell.
Yep.
Picked up a DT, a nose guard out of New Orleans.
Signed a Bama boy.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either, but they signed Bradley Bozeman.
Bradley Bozeman.
The DT was the one I can't remember his name.
He's got a different name, but they're switching up, going to a 3-4, and so they needed a big predominant nose guard. So the
only thing I didn't like about the trade is they traded their best wide receiver. So you got a rookie quarterback coming in. And he doesn't have that great wide receiver to help him.
That's true. And the pool isn't the greatest this year, free agent wise, for receivers. So there's definitely some. That's a good point.
Yeah.
There is some good speed out there. Paris Campbell's available, and he's got ties to Coach Wright.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a speed guy over the top. Terrence Marshall's been getting better underneath. So. Anyway, I'm pleased with being in our backyard. You can't help but be a Panthers fan. And so
what are you thinking? I've heard a couple of different reports from the so-called experts, the insiders. One report I heard was that Reich loves Stroud, Tepper loves Bryce Young.
Yeah, well, we've been listening to the same stuff.
Then I saw another report that said they're happy with two quarterbacks. They're going to go with one of the two. But that report said the two were Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
So, there's really no reason for smoke screens at this point. You're number one pick. You don't have to play any games.
Well, they could potentially be playing the game to trade down.
To see if
they might trade down to the Colts.
Maybe number 4 wants to trade up, or even the Texans at number 2. So there is some gamesmanship to still be played, but
I like the potential if you're not married to Bryce or Stroud. I like the potential of trading back and getting some more draft cap.
Yeah, oh yeah.
In the second, or
getting
a
wide receiver back.
Yeah, get a wide out and maybe a second, something like that. So anyway, but I'm really pleased with Tepper's willingness to spend and Fitter's ability to put things together.
Yeah.
I think it's and I like Bryce Young to the Panthers, as not really being a homer, but Fitter and, his being out in Seattle and with, what's his name?
Russell
Wilson. He's used to the smaller kid that can run.
Well, that's the argument on that side. And then the other one is Frank Reich's never worked with a smaller quarterback.
Yeah, but Frank Reich has zero GM duties, so this will be Scott Fitter's decision. But I know what you're going to say. Frank Reich's obviously going to have
some input
on that. So, but either way, I mean, I like Stroud out the gate. To be honest with you, I think he's in the clubhouse as the first pick overall. That's what I'm picking. That's not who I want.
Stroud.
But yeah, that's who I'm picking.
Their stats over the last 2 seasons combined are very comparable, almost identical. I think Stroud had a few more yards, but Bryce had less interceptions or something. But they were real comparable to each other. But Bryce did not have any weapons this past season to really,
and Stroud was loaded with weapons.
Yes,
and he was throwing to a lot of open windows.
And the knock on Bryce is his size and will he be able to be durable enough. But, that's one thing about C.J. Stroud. He always appeared soft to me. He never would run the ball. I never saw him lower his shoulder, take a hit. I wouldn't. If you're trying to separate these two based on you think Stroud to be the more durable of the two, I'm gonna have to disagree with that.
There's not much tape to prove that.
To prove that he's durable?
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right. There's not much
There's
tape.
there's
To prove it.
tape.
He didn't really run until the Georgia game.
There's tape to show that he runs away from contact.
Yeah, and then you got the Georgia tape, which shows that he moved out of the pocket. He threw very accurately on the run.
Yeah.
So there's tape for that as well. But I think overall, the majority of the tape proves what you're saying, that there's really no argument there.
And there's only about 9 pounds difference between the two of them.
Yeah, and 6'2". I mean, he's built slight.
Yeah.
I mean, he's built slight. They both have live arms. I think Stroud has maybe a touch more power, maybe.
Right.
But I don't know.
Well,
Bryce's intelligence to me.
And then I heard the one report where they were talking about Richardson. They were saying, well, because he's built like Cam Newton and this and that. Well, you know what? Nobody from the Cam Newton era is even affiliated with the Panthers anymore. I mean, so why would that have any bearing on any decision they make?
I don't think it does. Only just because it's something for the Carolina people to talk about.
Yeah.
Because Cam's one great season. Honestly, I mean,
right.
I mean, he had more than one good season, but one great season. I mean, I don't think I would use Cam as the comparison as the quarterback I want to lock down as my future.
Nah.
So anyway, that's my toast. Tepper, Fitterer, and of course Bud Grant.
Okay. Well, mine's going to be a little bit boring because I'm toasting the same people I toasted last week. I'm toasting Nate Oates and the Alabama basketball team. We talked about it last week, how much hell they've had to endure, how much unwarranted, baseless, unfactual criticism they received all season long, and they've had to grow together and have each other's back. I don't know if you saw the pregame where Antoine Petway, the assistant coach, kind of had them all huddled up and was giving them a pep talk. And so he said, we've been through what we've been through as a family. That's okay because we're built different because of it. We're built different. It never got too heavy for nobody because we always had each other's back. Go out there and have fun today and go get what's yours. And then they ended it with, he said, we all we got. And then the team would say, we all we need. And they kept saying, we all we got, we all we need. So this team is really bonded. And we've talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
On some other podcasts.
They even asked Coach Oates, they even alluded to that at the end of the game, the end of the SEC tournament championship, that it looked like this team has just a unique bond. They get along, and that's easily seen, and you can see that just watching them play. It's so unselfish across the entire board of players.
Yeah, well, I saw one comment. They were talking about how great Kobe Bryant was, but he would shoot the ball 50 times a game versus how great Brandon Miller is, but he's a very unselfish and will do all aspects of the game. So, so they won the regular season and the tournament for the SEC. They're the number 1 overall seed in the March Madness tournament, the big dance. Miller, Quinn, Javon Quinterly, Charles Bediako, all 3 of them made the all-tournament team.
Bediako,
well deserved.
My hat's off, Charles Bediako. Your efforts were not unnoticed.
Yeah, no, he had
these Bama fans. You didn't put up a lot of points, but you kind of did.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Miller, Bediako would have been the MVP of the tournament.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he made so many shots difficult, and
you're
talking about unselfish players.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, they don't run a single play. They don't have a set play for him. I mean, other than maybe the alley-oops, but those are more instinctual than they are. Hey, run that play. I mean, that's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing's run through Bediako.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, Brandon Miller was the MVP of the tournament. He also got named first-team All-American AP and Sporting News, and the Wooden Award list put him back on the list.
He should be.
They realized, nobody else. This is an innocent young man who, regardless of a tragic situation, it should, because it's been proven that he did nothing illegal.
Right, just wrong place at the wrong time, which
Nate Oates said and got crucified for. But bottom line is, it was the truth.
That's exactly the truth.
And I'll when we get into my scumbag, I'm gonna address that situation a little bit more. But right now, I just want to focus on the positive. Alabama this is the best season. They set a record for most wins ever for their basketball program. It's been a great season, and yeah, I'm gonna toast them again, even though I toasted them next week. And if they win the tournament, I'm gonna or even if they make the Final Four, I don't even care if they win it. I'd love for them to.
We need the Final Four. We've never been there.
Never been to the Final
We've
Four.
Been to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I would love for them to get to the Final Four, and then we'll be toasting them again when
if
and when that happens. So anyway, Coach Oates, Coach Petway, all the players, great season. So proud of you guys. Tepper, Fitterer. Looks like you got things going in the right direction for the Panthers. Keep up the good work. And, of course, Bud Grant and his family. Tremendous life that he had and legacy. And he's going to be missed.
He is going to be missed. Skull.
Cheers.
Cheers. You got you another healthy pour, I see.
Yeah, I don't want to have to get up in the middle of the podcast, so I make sure I over pour rather than under pour. Well, usually I don't finish it, even after we'd go and do our rate that shit segment.
I think I drink more than you during the show.
Yeah,
you got a nice. That's a nice.
I'll tell you that
dark.
This is Michter's the Michter's small batch, and it is. I was noticing that
it's very
dark.
Yeah, very dark, amber, really amber.
We rated it a 2 when we did the show. We were a little bit disappointed in it. Sipping on it now, it's probably
that's their entry level.
Yeah,
that's their entry level. And I don't remember how long it's aged. What is that one? Is that one
4 years?
Okay, well, it's very nice color for 4.
It just didn't have a whole lot going on, really.
Right, and that was coming off of the sour mash too, which
we really loved.
The sour mash. That was an excellent.
It's not a bad one to have. It's just not.
It'd certainly be a good old fashioned, a good definitely a mixer. Falls right into our mixer.
It definitely does. How about you?
I got the Blue Run. What we say this was
the Reflection.
Reflection
1.
Yeah, this was to me this was disappointing.
We were disappointed because it was $100 bottle of bourbon, and we were really, and even the people at the liquor store we stopped. Remember, we stopped at. It was at
in Savannah, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was Savannah. I think it was Tybee. I think it was when we were in Tybee. Remember, we went across the street from the sports bar.
Well, there was multiple liquor store stops on that trip.
They were very high on it, and they actually had it behind the counter, not even on the shelves.
Yeah, I remember.
And you don't see it a lot.
That's a pretty bottle. It's a pretty bottle, which will drag you in and make you want to purchase. But honestly,
I want to say when we went to Bardstown last year.
Yeah,
bar we went to, they were saying it was.
Yeah, because I remember looking at that bottle. And it was way on the top shelf, and it was a $40 pour.
Yeah, just for a pour.
Yeah, exactly. No, to me it's overrated.
Yeah,
overrated.
I agree. We rated it a 3, but we almost dropped it down to a 2 because of the price.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look at that.
Yeah, that's not very dark.
No, that's a little disturbing on color.
I mean, that almost looks like you're drinking your scotch that you had.
Or you know what I thought? It looked
or
like
that
honey.
Yeah.
Looked like that honey from what was that?
You didn't pick up the wrong bottle over there, did you?
No.
Did you pick up the Beekeeper?
No. I stayed away from the Beekeeper. I wanted to give the Blue Run another shot because I remember being disappointed in it.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Let's roll on in.
Yeah, let's get some scumbags out of the way. I'll let you start again because I'm probably gonna go on another tangent.
Another rant. All right. Well, I'm gonna kind of go on a rant. This is gonna be local. I'm really disappointed in Hubert Davis and the North Carolina Tar Heels for declining their NIT bid. You know, I personally I think a blue blood like UNC. They owe it to the basketball world to show up and represent. I get it that they were thinking they had roster issues, but for a blue blood like UNC to have roster issues, I don't buy it. I've heard counter arguments on each side.
Well,
but
he had a lot of freshmen, young players that, I mean, he was only playing 6 and 7 deep.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of players that didn't even get to see the floor. This would have been the perfect opportunity.
Absolutely.
To get them some good experience, some tournament-style experience.
Yep. Some
for next year.
Competition, some more practice time. I mean,
he's already lost 2 to the portal.
New York, getting into, if they could get into New York, some recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's lost 2 to the portal.
Yeah, I saw that.
One young guy and one of his grads.
Yeah, one and what's his? I forget his name now, but I mean, he was probably their second best shooter coming back, and they lost him in the portal. And I mean, it's his fault. He let Caleb Love shoot his team out the gym. And bless his heart, Caleb Love made a huge shot for UNC. I disagree with all the hate he's gotten from the fan base, but at the same time,
he has had a very disappointing season though this year.
Yeah, at the same time,
coming off of last season, I actually thought he should have turned pro after last season, but he didn't. He came back to improve his value, but I think he hurt his value.
I think he hurt his value. I mean, hell, he's shooting less than 30%.
Yeah.
I mean. And he is not bashful.
Nah.
He is not bashful. I get the frustration from the fan base on him, but yeah, Hubert, I'm disappointed in Hubert. He said he let his players make the decision, and I'm like, man, aren't you the head coach?
Yeah,
make the decision for your program.
Yeah, sometimes
for your fan base,
you need to make it for them. Because like I said, and he could have. Had at a press conference said, yeah, we're very disappointed in the season we had this year, but we're going to take this opportunity to go play in the NIT and let some of the guys that busted their ass every day in practice, but we weren't able to get them much game time. We're doing this for them. We're going to take them to New York. We're going to let them play. And really gain some valuable experience. If you handle it the right way,
sure.
Rather than looking at it as, oh, this is a no-win situation. Either we win the tournament, and then it's going to be like, well, you shouldn't have been in that tournament anyway, or you have a bad showing, and then it's like, what's wrong with North Carolina, blah blah blah. So yeah, I could see where they kind of felt handcuffed a little in a no-win situation.
I mean,
but I agree with you. They should have.
You're a blue blood, man.
Don't act like you too good for it.
Exactly,
which is what
exactly. You earn the NIT. Go out there and play in it, man. And I agree. Take your team. Get more practice time with your team. I think it could only help.
Hell, it could help him. He obviously still needs to become a better coach.
Yeah, I think he struggled managing his team. I don't think he struggles with the clipboard and the X's and O's, but when you allow Caleb Love to just continue to play and shoot your team out of games, I mean, you're lacking a little control of your roster. And you can't tell me UNC didn't have the talent on the bench.
I mean, they are always up there top 10 recruiting, probably top 5 recruiting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that this season to me for UNC came down to coaching.
Yeah, and they were definitely overrated based off of the catching fire last year.
Late last
but
season.
Still, I mean, it's UNC. It'd
there's
be
too much talent
akin
there.
to like Alabama just completely falling on their face after all of our years of recruiting and not even getting into a bowl game.
Yeah, or we got to go to the Liberty Bowl,
right?
Or,
exactly.
Some sort of the Poulon weed eater. I don't even know what half these bowls are called anymore.
It's comical like that.
Yeah. The good old days of the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Peach Bowl.
They're still around.
Yeah, they still got to throw a sponsor on there to make their millions.
Right.
All right.
Yeah,
you done?
Yeah, that's
ranting
enough.
Ranting on them heels.
Yeah, I mean, I still love the Heels, local program, but I like Duke too, you know. So you're giving Duke fans a lot more ammunition by backing out of this
Right.
thing.
Well,
I mean,
of course, Duke, they got hot at the end of the year.
oh yeah, Duke is one of the hottest teams rolling into the tournament.
I'm glad they're not in the Alabama bracket.
I don't know though. They're primed for a 12 versus a 12 seeded upset. They got Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
Might be a pick right there. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
UNC's my scumbag. Hubert Davis, disappointed.
All right, my scumbag. I'm gonna jump back on my bandwagon from last week, and the media, Charles Barkley, Greg Gumbel, these news outlets, they just won't learn. They just continue to put stuff out there that is inaccurate.
Yeah.
They still want to have their own narrative, and it's just getting ridiculous. I'm gonna share with you some of the things. So Charles Barkley, one of my favorite Auburn alumni. Him and Bo Jackson are my two favorite Auburn alumni.
Yeah. It's hard not to like Chuck.
But Chuck, he comes out and he says, Alabama, there's no way they're going to do good in the postseason. They can't get, too much off the court
Right.
controversy and
Can't focus.
They won't be able to focus, and they're not going to be able to overcome it. So he's like, Alabama's not going to win the SEC. They're not going to win the NCAA.
He picked them to lose in the first round of the SEC, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. And then he says, well, Brandon Miller is lucky that this happened in the state of Alabama, because in 49 other states he would have been charged.
Right.
Charged with what? Picking up his friend?
Yeah.
Is that illegal nowadays, to go pick up your friend that you told 3 hours ago, I'll be back to get you in a little while?
No, charged with delivering a firearm that killed somebody, which is inaccurate.
Delivering a firearm that he didn't even know was in the car, that was
Exactly.
buried under a pile of clothes.
Yeah, the initial report.
And even if he knew it was there, and Darius Miles says, bring me my gun, he's returning his personal property.
It's his gun.
He has no idea what's
Right.
fixing to happen. So he, like you said earlier, wrong place, wrong time. Yes, Coach Oates got crucified. It came across insensitive, but it was factual. All he was doing was going to pick up his friend that he had dropped off earlier that night and said he was going to pick him up.
Exactly. Coach Oates made the statement with way more information than any of these media outlets and news people and commentators have or ever will have. Greg Byrne, Nate Oates, they have way more pertinent, factual information on the story.
And then guess who Chuck picked to win the Natty today?
Picked to win the whole thing?
Yeah. Alabama.
Oh, did he? I was going to say not Auburn.
No, so now he's back on Alabama's going to win the tournament.
Oh, okay.
So, Chuck, do a little research before you give out inaccurate facts.
I love you, Chuck, man, but
But he obviously doesn't put any thought into anything he says, because on one hand, we can't win a game in the SEC tournament.
Right. And then we mop up the SEC.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's back on that bandwagon. Okay, now, they're going to win the whole thing. All right, so that was one incident. And then Greg Gumbel, during the selection show, and when it came out that Alabama was the number 1 overall seed, he made the comment, Alabama sidestepped a murder investigation. There again, this is a city of Tuscaloosa. This did not happen on campus.
Right.
The shooter was not a student. Neither shooter. There was 2 shooters.
Right.
Neither of them were
students.
The victim was not a student. So how did Alabama sidestep? Now, the gun was owned by Darius Miles, and they instantly kicked him off the team and kicked him out of school.
Right.
So Alabama handled anything that was related to Alabama.
Allegedly, didn't pull the trigger.
No.
Didn't communicate any threats.
No. Now, it was he claims that he saw that the other guy had a gun first. So he wanted the gun in their possession for self-protection, not to kill somebody,
Right.
but to protect themselves. So, and there was also witnesses that said that Darius Miles was trying to de-escalate the whole conflict between her boyfriend, whose name is Cedric Johnson, and Mike Davis. Yeah. He was trying to squash the whole thing. Let's get out of here. That's why he texted Brandon 3 times. When you gonna be here? You know, he said, come get us the first time. The second time was how much longer?
Right.
You know, he's ready to get up out of there. And then it was the third time when right before Brandon pulled into the behind the houndstooth. That's right before that was when he texted about the bring my gun.
Gotcha. That,
you know, Brandon didn't even have time to either read it or go get a gun or know where a gun was. So that was, you know, another incident that took place was, you know, Greg Gumbel saying, you know, putting this on Alabama.
Just, it seems like a petty, cheap shot. You know, it seems like there's some issues with some of these people. Obviously, Chuck has, you know, some Auburn.
Yeah. He doesn't want
Alabama hatred,
right.
You know. And Gumbel probably has some underlying issues with Bama, you know, too, to take such a cheap shot, you know, that's not even factual, not even correct.
Right.
It's frustrating.
It is, and that's why,
as a fan.
And that's why I like pointing all this stuff out. The networks, every single time Alabama plays a game, they have to run another story covering it. You know, it's time to let it play out in the courts. Let the legal system figure out what this is all about and keep it separate. You know, the only reason they want to focus on it and make it a deal every time Alabama's playing is because who's the biggest name in the story? Brandon Miller.
Right.
So even though he has been proven to be completely innocent of everything, he never touched the gun. He never even got out of his car. He just pulled up to let them get in so that he could take them home. He never even got out of his car. The victim and the black Jeep, that wasn't even at the scene when he pulled up. You know, the early narrative was that he blocked them in so they couldn't leave.
Right.
They weren't even there yet. Brandon pulled up, and Brandon pulled up behind Jaden Bradley. Jaden Bradley was in the car in front of him. And Miles and Davis were in Bradley's car. Well, when Miller got there, they got out, and then they went to the back seat of Davis's car. Right. Of Brandon Miller's car. So he thinks they're just going to get in, and we're going to drive away.
And then the Jeep pulls up behind.
The Jeep pulls up with its headlights out.
Right.
Why are you pulling up in an alley with no headlights on if you don't have bad intentions? So when they see the Jeep pull up, they go digging under the clothes for Darius's pistol. And as soon as shots are fired, Bradley and Miller, they get out of there. And, you know, it's a whole lot of misrepresentation, misinformation. A picture was painted that he delivered a gun because it was a request of his teammate to go get it.
Right.
And then he blocked that car in, which both of those couldn't be any further from the truth. You know, he did not pull up on an argument going on. Quit running this story every time Alabama plays.
Well, it's ratings. It's
right.
ratings.
I got 2 more for you, and then I'll get off this bandwagon. Just today, there was an article by Will Leach of the Intelligencer, which couldn't be a more inappropriate name. The headline was, "The Brandon Miller situation is completely grotesque." He said, it basically said Alabama's looking the other way because the team is so good. His exact words were, "At the risk of sounding histrionic, it is downright ghastly the extent to which the University of Alabama has attempted to normalize what's happening here, simply because the school's basketball team is so good." So he's basically saying, you know, we're looking the other way. We don't care because we're trying to win a championship. And they went on, you know, to say that basically Miles was a bench player, so he's expendable, but Miller is our best player, so we're just going to ignore it and pretend it didn't even happen, which is bullshit.
Well, I mean, there's a huge difference between what the authorities think Miles' role in this whole thing was versus Brandon Miller.
Exactly,
and even Miles has been indicted.
Yeah, he had. Yeah,
murder.
They had the first hearing. He's been indicted for his participation.
Sure.
And there's nothing on any of the remaining Alabama basketball players or the team or the university.
Right. It's just utter disregard for facts and the truth and the whole legal system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody always wants to paint the picture that Alabama is somehow behind the legal system.
And that all,
right.
because this is a star player for the University of Alabama, he can get away with murder. The Daily Mail, they were claiming that there was a couple of people that identified themselves as Alabama fans, which I would dispute if they were. I think they were there at the game wearing the shirts that said something about killing our way through the SEC or whatever. I think they were anti-Alabama people trying to shed more negativity on the university.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know that for a fact, but either way, it's tasteless and
it wouldn't
classless.
Surprise me. I mean, there's been plenty of social media posts that have come from non-Alabama, fans, non-Alabama alums or etc. that that wore stuff like that or said stuff like that, posted stuff like that just to bring more negativity towards the university.
So the Daily Mail, they said, this Alabama fans wearing these T-shirts was yet another flippant reaction to the shooting. Then they went on to say that Miller was frisked by a teammate in pregame intros as a reference to his reported link to the shooting. Wrong and wrong.
Right. You're gonna write something and post something without all the facts.
Alabama insisted that those fans be removed and not be allowed back. This happened Saturday, and not be allowed, if they showed up Sunday, to not be allowed back in. And the frisk was not in reference to the shooting because he's been doing it since the very first game of the season, and it wasn't a frisk, it's a pat down.
Right.
In reference to the TSA, and he's now cleared for takeoff. So these people that don't do any kind of research and they just want to jump on something they heard is so all it does is fire up the masses because ignorant people will read this and believe it.
Sure, absolutely.
And then they're like, Alabama, they need to fire their coach. They need to cancel their basketball season. Nick Saban, where's he at in all? They dragging Nick into this.
I even heard death penalty to the program.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So anyway, I think that's all I had on my soapbox today. But it's just getting frustrating.
Well, I mean,
for
I think
all this,
the theme of what you just said in all of those 30 minutes of rants is irresponsible media, irresponsible podcasts, irresponsible.
There should be accountability, just like there's accountability for these guys that were involved in this tragedy. There should be accountability for anybody that reports or says anything that's not accurate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It would be interesting. Of course, that might be a further discussion on violation of your First Amendment, but
well, but
I mean, still,
there's such a thing as defamation of character.
Yeah.
I've seen one actual article, and it was actually done by a guy at ESPN, where he actually he put in the time, contacted the police departments, the lawyers, the club owners. He talked to witnesses. I mean, he put in the time and he laid out the facts and the timeline. And that's the only article I've seen where somebody did that.
Kudos to ESPN because they're usually on the forefront of
they're
irresponsibility.
They're usually just trying to get those clickbaits.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't remember the guy's name, but his article was well written. It was old school journalism. It was well written. It was investigated. He put in the work. He did the research, and he presented facts. He didn't present any of his opinions. He laid it out as the evidence and everything dictated.
Let his readers come to their conclusions based on the facts that he laid out versus trying to narrate a story to slant the story. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get off of that and let's come in hot and see what else we got to talk about. We talk a little. Well, while we're on college basketball, there was a few other things that happened this weekend. Jim Boeheim retired.
Yeah.
Great career with the Orange.
Yeah, great career, but
I think might have hung on a little too long.
Not a big Boeheim fan. He always seems rather whiny to me, and you know,
I do agree with that.
and kind of an asshole, honestly. I mean, he sort of
aren't most of the coaches.
Well, I mean, but he sort of treats the media around the program, the students around the program, kind of like a jackass. All the things I've read about him, and, you know, he was never very thrilled with Greensboro for the ACC tournament, and I just thought it was kind of funny that he got his ass beat in Greensboro on a last second shot, and he retires in his press conference. And he didn't even really retire. You know, it was like, are you really retired?
I was going to say, isn't this the second time? Didn't he already kind of retire once before?
He ain't even on good terms with his own program, with his own university. So, I mean, you have to recognize him as a great coach for sure, but he's kind of a jackass.
he won't be missed.
No, I almost flirted with him being my scumbag.
Well, and here's another one that has been our scumbag previously. Ole Miss stuck with Ole Miss and Auburn love those controversial hires, don't they?
Yeah, and this dude, man.
But yeah, Chris Beard,
dude's dirty.
The former Texas coach who was fired from the Texas job, he's going to be the next Ole Miss coach.
Yeah, I don't. That's just way too soon for me.
Yeah, that was soon. I mean, it's same season. I mean, well, he's not going to coach them this year, but exactly.
Too soon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. It seemed like there's way better, you know, up and comers.
Yeah.
Out there for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you want to bring that on your program, you know, because you know there's going to be some protests and negativity, and like you said, there's other well-qualified candidates out there.
Yeah.
Why risk anything? And then the last thing in coaching news in college basketball was Bill Self, you know, we wish him well in his recovery, but he had a procedure on his heart, had a stent put in, had some blockage. So, and he's only 60, so, you know, hopefully, and he seems to be in decent health and shape.
He's going to be courtside, I heard, for the tournament. For the tournament, yeah, for first game, so.
Okay. Well, so yeah, like I said, we wish him well and a speedy recovery.
Yeah, I guess we should have thought about maybe making some picks and predictions, but I really don't do that.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before. Is I suck at the brackets, so if I would have made predictions, they'd have been wrong anyway. No, I like Bama's chances. I think they've got a very favorable draw. You know, they get to play in Birmingham the first two games. They're going to play the winner of the.
Yeah, we're actually
Southeastern
watching
Missouri
the play-in game right now to see who Bama plays.
It's 45-40. Texas
midway
A&M,
through the second half.
So
looks like it's going to come down to the wire.
None
of those two teams, obviously, they just don't look like they have the length.
No, they
to handle.
Yeah,
Bama.
they don't look like they have the size, and then Alabama would have to play the winner of the West Virginia game, which would be probably a pretty good matchup, but there again, it's in Birmingham.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got home court, but I mean, we talked about this. If we run into a physical team that gets us in a little bit of foul trouble, we could struggle for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was going to pull up the bracket and
Yeah, I started to print it off, and and we could talk about it, but then I got so fired up about all this negative narrative that I didn't even bother with it.
I think I was looking. I know Duke's been playing.
Yeah, Duke's hot. I can see Duke doing well.
Duke's really hot right now, and I don't know why I keep hitting the damn wrong button. Live bracket. Yeah, Duke's hot right now. They're playing good, but man, they're poised to get upset in round one. I mean, they're up against Oral Roberts.
And one thing I don't understand is how are Alabama and Houston, both number one seeds, both playing in Birmingham? How is that not a scheduling faux pas? And then if Auburn wins their game, they get to play Houston in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that should not have happened.
Yeah, no, that seems rather sketchy. I like, man, I
Marquette's been hot.
Yeah, I like Texas A&M's. I like Texas A&M's draw, man. I think I would bet the house on A&M over Penn State in round one. I mean, I think they got a tough one if Texas survives for round two.
Yeah, I'd like to see Texas versus Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be a good matchup to see.
I think we'll see that one. Who else was I thinking? There was one. Charleston, San Diego State. That's going to be an interesting 12 versus 5.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to stay away from 12 versus 5 because they just don't look right to me. But invariably, a 12 always upsets a 5. So I definitely think, to me, Oral Roberts upsetting Duke is the more likely 12 because Oral Roberts they've been to the Sweet 16. A couple years ago, and they got 2 players still on the roster.
Yeah, Duke's hot though now.
Duke's hot, but man, Duke's young, and Oral Roberts is older. I like that 12 versus 5.
That whole East though, I mean, it's loaded.
Yeah, it is. Who else was I? There was another team that I think is kind of a sleeper, based on everything I was reading, but I can't think of who it was now. Anyway, let's drive on.
So yeah, should be a fun tournament. Some good matchups, some good storylines. So
the next hot topic really is the NFL.
Yeah, NFL.
There, I mean,
there's been a lot of quarterback movement.
Andy Dalton to the Panthers, huh?
Yeah, I like that as a like I said, somebody to be temporarily hold that position until the rookie's ready. Jimmy G to the Raiders, I don't see that as an upgrade over Derek Carr.
No, I think the Raiders kind of seem like a train wreck, man. Especially you talking about they might be dealing Darren Waller to the Giants.
Supposedly that trade's already locked up for a 3rd round pick, and
they just haven't announced it yet.
Well, they can't. The official first day of the league doesn't start until tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe Thursday. So all these free agent signings, none of this can become official. This is actually the legal tampering period.
Right.
And so until the league, the official first day, there's rumor has it that the Aaron Rodgers to the Jets trade is a done deal. And the Jets have been signing Alan Lazard. Supposed to sign Randall Cobb. So, I mean, things are looking like Rodgers is going there and he's bringing his buddies with him.
I mean, the Jets already had a couple good receivers
over
there.
But apparently Rodgers wanted his little pacifier in his blanket with him.
Man, that dude is something else.
You got Austin Eckler on the trade block. He wasn't able to work out a new contract, so he requested a trade. King Henry supposedly on the trade block.
King Henry to San Diego after the
The
Titans.
the Eagles, they potentially could lose 8 of their top 9 defenders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, either to free agency or some of their players have been granted the permission to seek a trade. So the Eagles might, they might be tremendously different next year from a defensive standpoint, and they're supposed to lose probably a couple of their offensive linemen too. So the Eagles might have been a one and done there.
Wow.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
D. Payne signed $90 million.
90 million. Yeah, he did well for himself.
Yeah, second highest paid DT.
Well, and speaking of Alabama defensive tackle, Dalvin Tomlinson,
I saw that,
signed for like 57 over 4 years with the Browns.
Yeah, he left the Vikings, man. I wasn't happy about it, but
Yeah, the thing
the
I
Vikings
found.
turned around and signed the dude out of New Orleans.
I saw that. So the Waller trade, I said it was for a 3rd round pick. Well, it's the 3rd round pick that they got from Kansas City for Kadarius Toney. So essentially, they traded Kadarius Toney for Darren Waller, which makes it look like a good deal, a good fair deal for both sides.
Yeah, I think they're both. I mean, Waller had a kind of a bad year, and Kadarius Toney's injury prone,
right?
But ultra talented when on the field, so that seems like a pretty good trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team that got screwed in this deal was the Raiders, only getting a 3rd round pick back for probably the 3rd best tight end when healthy in the league.
Sure. Yeah, the Raiders have not gotten better this offseason.
Yeah, and there again, Josh McDaniel. Hell of an offensive coordinator, but he's a train wreck. Of course, if he's behind any of these deals, he's a train wreck.
Hopefully, he's not behind them. I mean, hopefully that Mike Davis, the owner, or Mark Davis, the owner,
and Devontae Adams is not happy.
I bet not. He
He went there because of Derek Carr,
right?
And now in my opinion, it's a downgrade from Derek Carr to Jimmy G. So, yeah.
Easy downgrade. I mean, Jimmy G's, anyway.
I mean, when he's healthy, he's a winner. He might not put up the flashy stats, but he wins. But he, like I said, when he's healthy.
Yeah. Jalen Ramsey to the Dolphins. That was
the Dolphins have been doing nice things. They but they exercised the 5th-year option on Tua. Mm-hmm. So he's guaranteed 2 more years with the Dolphins this coming season and then his 5th season. They re-signed both the running backs today, Mostert and Jeff Wilson.
That's
his name. Traded for Jalen Ramsey. Been rumored to be close to signing Poyer, the safety. If they get Poyer, they'll have Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey as the corners, Javon Holland and Poyer at the safeties. That's the best secondary in pro football. If that happens,
they're already probably the best secondary. And imagine if they're not giving up on Minka. I don't remember what they got in for Minka. Who the player?
An offensive lineman, basically, is Austin Jackson. I think is his name. He's been a bust.
Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard on each side of the field. That's pretty stout.
Yep.
That's pretty stout. I like that.
Yeah, I tell you, the Dolphins are and that division.
Well, you have to keep up in that division.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo's is going to be Buffalo. The Dolphins are going to be right there. If Aaron Rodgers if that trade does become official, you got Aaron Rodgers. Hell, that sends New England to the bottom of that division.
You would think, but that's Bill.
But you're still New England. Yeah, I mean.
They got Belichick.
Now, they did lose their top wide receiver, who went to the Raiders, Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you can call anybody a top wide receiver in New England.
No.
They need to get on board and get them a top wide receiver from Mac.
Yeah.
I think here's a funny story that I heard today that was kind of funny. I wrote it down. Jim Irsay fires Frank Reich. Mm-hmm. Probably to try not to win any games because Frank Reich's wired differently. He just wants to win. He could care less about the first pick overall.
Right.
So Irsay, who's been a good owner.
Yeah.
Irsay's a good owner. He's had his own personal issues, but a good owner. So he fires Frank Reich, brings in Saturday to sort of maybe subtly and quietly tank. Doesn't tank enough. Saturday goes 2-0 in his first games, and then they lose the first pick overall. And then Reich signs with Carolina,
and then he
winds up trading
in
the first pick for the quarterback. Isn't that's funny? That's some funny shit.
That is.
That's some funny shit.
Frank's
driving right through Indianapolis right now, flicking him off.
Yeah.
That's a funny story.
That is funny.
That's all I got, man.
No, I'm good. Like I said, I knew I was going to rant on the media again, and it seemed like it was calming down a little bit, and it seemed like, you don't hear it. It's not a topic on Colin Cowherd and Skip Bayless every day. I think they're realizing,
they jumped the gun.
Yeah,
Everybody
jumped the gun. Let's back off now. But then you still, like I said, every game the network is, telling the story as if everybody hadn't already heard the story, and they're telling it incorrectly. Brandon Miller delivered the gun that killed. So, hopefully I can get off that soapbox and not have to rant about it anymore. But that's just one of them things that rubs me the wrong way, and that's what our podcast is about. Is what do you want to talk about this week? Well, I'm still fired up about that and want to get shit off my chest.
And we're still pretty much Bama.
Oh, absolutely.
But we stay.
But we're
stay
fair.
Objective.
We're fair.
We try to stay objective for the most part. We are.
We said, don't put yourself in that situation. Blah blah blah.
Nobody's happy that he was willing to go and get involved, and we're definitely not happy that Darius Miles was implicated in all this as a former Bama basketball player.
I'm still hoping that because they don't even know who fired the first shot.
Right.
Because there's still debate whether Cedric Johnson fired at Davis first or if Davis fired towards the Jeep first, and that's what this whole case is going to boil down to. Was Davis acting in self-defense or was he the instigator? So that's the bottom line, and that's what the focus of the case should be on. So anyway, let's
go out to our field reporter on the legal side, Kolby.
So we've been doing the Paragon, the Southern Star Paragon series from the Southern Distilling Company. We've got the last one tonight to do, so we'll go over there. It's
the last one on the weeded side. We stayed away from.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You said it. I'll shut up. I'll drink.
Drink. So let's speaking of drink, let's go over to the bar. Let's taste that, and then let's rate that shit. We'll see you at the bar.
Cheers.